We're hearing is that it's going to be a press statement, and that should be read off by the president in the coming hours.
All right, Scott Heidler live in New York at the United Nations. We're still waiting for that final statement. We'll get it when it comes out. Thanks, Scott. Let's go back now to London for more news on European issues.
Well, remember, of course, Tamar, outrage has now been expressed in the capitals of the world's most powerful countries. But as we've been seeing, not much has been done in the way of concrete action. Barnaby Phillips has been looking at why all those strong words have not yet been translating into deeds.
Another day of protests in London, but does Muammar Gaddafi hear what the world is saying?
This is unacceptable.
We need to see the violence stop.
We are extremely concerned with events.
This must stop immediately.
Condemned very clearly the repression that is ongoing.
To express our absolute condemnation.
Condemn it utterly.
And now America has joined the chorus.
The United States continues to watch the situation in Libya with alarm. Our thoughts and prayers are with those whose lives have been lost and their loved ones, and we join the international community in strongly condemning the violence, as we've received reports of hundreds killed and many more injured.
Well, you can see how passionate the crowds are here outside Downing Street. But for all the frustration we're seeing here, it also seems that governments outside Libya have a very limited ability to actually influence events on the ground in that country now.
Of course, oil and gas give Gaddafi leverage, but that's not the only reason foreign leaders struggle to put pressure on him.
Gaddafi is and has always been a maverick. It's difficult to predict what he wants, how he's going to go about things. He's therefore very difficult to interact with, have a rapport with, even for his own people who live in fear of crossing him. And on the outside, the relationship is complicated by the fact that on the outside, people usually want something from him just as much as he may from them.
The Arab League has banned Libya from its meetings, a gesture, but one unlikely to affect the situation on the ground. And then there's the African Union, which has said nothing. Perhaps because some African leaders have benefited from Gaddafi's financial resources, whilst others may even be afraid of him.
He's also explicitly, we know, funded at least 10 rebellions in Africa, including some extremely nasty people like Charles Taylor in Liberia, Foday Sankoh in Sierra Leone. And so other African leaders who've been on the receiving end of rebels supported by Gaddafi are very, very scared of him and wary of him.
So he's the maverick who leads the outside world a merry dance. And now his people suffer the consequences. Barnaby Phillips, AlJazeera, London.
Well, joining me now in the studio here is Georges Canaan. He is the Chief Executive of the Arab Bankers Association. Thanks for coming in. Welcome to the programme.
Thanks.
If we're taking just a financial look at what is happening at the moment, particularly in Libya, there's no doubt about it. In the short term, this uprising is bad for Libya's economy, isn't it?
Absolutely. There will be a period of choppiness. And the longer it lasts, the longer it will affect particularly the neighbouring Mediterranean economy, so to speak, particularly Italy. My hope, though, however, is that once we cross that period, there would be a democratic representative government, the rule of law, and that should bring some long-lasting prosperity and stability into the economy. Libya is a country with a great deal of potential, and it has been held back rather drastically over the last 40 years. Once we see stability, once we see proper government, open government, we will see the return, primarily, I think, the return, primarily a good thing, the return of much of the expatriate community from the West, which has in its ranks people who can lead the country properly.
So you're saying business-wise, there have been business leaders in Libya?
And the institutions of state, too. And there are brilliant Libyan businessmen who reside overseas who would love to go back home and help rebuild back their country.
You talk about the fact that for the last, whatever, 30 years, 40 years, it's been held back, the economy in Libya. But actually, it's not been doing too badly. It's something like predicted growth this year of 6.2%. I mean, there's many countries around the world that would actually greatly appreciate those figures.
It is, but it doesn't seem to have, well, the sanctions have hurt it badly. It doesn't seem to have filtered. There seems to be somehow a problem getting this wealth across, this oil wealth, across to the common man in the street. Evidently, the sanctions, by depriving the country from the ability to spend, in fact, deprive the country from the ability to spend its money. Well, is it the sanctions, or is it the nature of the regime, or is it both of them? I think once we have, again, a properly constituted government, a proper representative government, we will see the country regain its human resource capital, and that will enable it to move forward. My feeling is that it is an easy step once you are there. Once you've crossed this period of choppiness, of instability, of problems, it will be an easy march forward.
Sure.
The country has got resources, and it's got needs. And in a way, it represents a tremendous opportunity for Europe. In fact, the entire littoral of North African littoral, with what happened to it from Egypt to Tunisia, it presents Europe with a tremendous opportunity, and it must take the lead.
George Kennan, I'm so sorry to stop you there. We are out of time. I appreciate your analysis of the financial situation. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
That's it from Europe for the moment. Back now to Taimur in Doha.
Felicity, thanks very much indeed. Now, you'll remember that the explosion of protest movements across the Middle East really moved into high gear after a Tunisian man set himself alight in an act of protest against his government. Well, that man's family has just issued a statement of support for the people of Libya. Mohamed Bouazizi's mother recorded her message for AlJazeera.
I feel sorry for the mothers of the martyrs. My heart was burning with sorrow. I pray for the souls of all martyrs in Libya. We tell them, mothers of the martyrs, may God Almighty give you strength and patience. I tell the people of Libya, may God help you. I hope you get everything you wish for. God willing, Libya will be a free country. We hope your dictator leaves just as Ben Ali has left. I would like to kiss every martyr's mother on the head and pray that God may grant them the serenity and patience to bear the unbearable. May Libya become a free country.
Well, let's get a final word from Hussam El-Ghariani from the Libyan Information Centre in Doha. Support from, I guess, fellow sufferers. Important to the Libyans?
Absolutely. Every piece of support is important for the Libyans. The support we need is obviously international condemnation, any action to help alleviate this cancer, as I heard on one of your reports from London, because he is, and it is over for him. I saw the footage of the ambassador that resigned, and I urge all Libyan officials to take a decision to walk away now. It's crumbling, it's over. Please, please do the right thing.
Is there anyone who might step in and take his place?
Well, this is the question everybody is asking. Well, first of all, the Gaddafi regime is an illegitimate regime because it's not an elected body. In fact, he claims